Welcome to Scrolling with Ceazor. Today is January 9th, 2026. I have quite a big collection of tweets for you to talk about today, so I'm going to get right into them without any kind of preface, and let's get started. So the first tweet I have here is one of my own. Again, I want to share this. I laid out a strategy that I've been using for a long time. It's basically a way of using interest-bearing coins to provide liquidity. I would highly suggest you check it out. I think it's pretty effective, especially for the degens that follow me and so forth. I'm kind of sharing with you this alpha. You can check out that tweet. It's a video, of course, as well, so you can watch the video, understand what's going on a little bit, and think about whether or not this is something you're interested in. Moving on. Okay, so the first tweet I have here is Millie. He happened to be right at the top of my my feed, so here I am talking about Millie again. So Llama on the brink. So he has retweeted Vitalik and Vitalik. I haven't read through all of Vitalik's tweet, but let's go through what Millie says. Okay, so I think this is perfectly reasonable, to be honest. As a crypto super user, I can assure everyone that most app UI confirmations take at least 3 seconds to propagate, including on-chain orders on sexes. So I can keep reading what he's saying, but basically he's right. Like, I don't think users really care about like sub-second finality for the most part. Like, especially me, like I don't really care if, you know, my liquidity, if I create, when I like provide liquidity to, like, for example, the strategy that I laid out just a second ago, I don't really care if it takes 1 second or even 12 seconds to be put on chain, because when I set up that strategy, it's a long-term strategy for the most part. There's only a few people who really care about these like instant like finalities, and these are what he calls high frequency traders, right? So anyone who's just trading like milliseconds or trading tiny amounts of price movement. Arbitrage bots, they care about it as well, because, you know, they're trying to compete with each other just to close arbitrages, and they're making tiny bits of profit on each little transaction, right? But for the most part, most users, they don't care. Like, a lot of blockchains now are so fast that the bottleneck is actually you click the button on the website, and then your wallet pops up, builds the transaction. You click that submit, and then it goes to the mempool and then gets built into the blocks and stuff like that. And everything after you click the wallet is super fast. But when you click the website and it builds your transaction, this generally takes a second or two. So, you know, there's and people don't care about that, really. Like, there are some people, like I commented on this and I said, there's also like the pump fund traders who care about this as well. And I guess they can be classified as high frequency traders, but there's a lot of, you know, snipers and stuff like this. They care about this, like, being first, right? Because they're pump and dumping everything. They're trading coins that have a lifespan of, 15, 20 minutes, right? So that's obviously another person who would care about that. But for the most part, I think most people are okay with, like, it takes 5 or 6 seconds. Like, when you send money with traditional banks, it generally takes days sometimes, if it's not like a small amount. And if it's a big amount, or if it is a small amount, then it's not milliseconds, right, that you get confirmation. It's just, and then actually the money's probably not even sent. It's just, they're gonna send it, and they're just telling you, yeah, it's like a pre-confirmation, right? I'm not sure. That's an assumption on my behalf, but, you know, think about that, okay? So, like, are the blockchains good enough for most users as they are right now? And is Ethereum already fast enough as it is right now? And I think it is. So, like, I think that, you know, like, I don't mind. Like, I send money across bridges, and I use USDC often, and I select the 20-minute wait, and it's free. I'd rather have a 20-minute wait and free than an instant send and I have to pay a little bit. Like, I don't mind waiting 20 minutes because I'm not in a huge rush to get that money across those chains usually. But that's a a hyper example of what I'm talking about. So I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Do you think it's fast enough, or you think it's got to be faster? We got to speed up, speed up, speed up. Okay, moving on. We have Dr. DeFi. He tweets something. He replied to something that I think is worthy of mention. Okay, so there's this guy called Big Bodie 12. He says like Sonic, and he tags Michael Demeter and Sonic Labs continue to absolutely crush it. I guess that's sarcasm because it's like it's showing like he's retweeting a tweet where the chart is like for it's called a stability DAO, and the chart is like a green line and then an instant dump, right? So DeFi Doctor says something that I think everyone should kind of think about. Okay, it says strange. The devs of Stability DAO max borrowed USDC against 100% stable position they had, now got liquidated. This is 100% the project's fault and bad intention. How does the underlying L1 how is the underlying L1 responsible for such behavior? A lot of people do this, okay? They lose money on something, or they see something that is like happening that's suspicious, and they pin it on the ecosystem. Like, it's definitely not Sonic's fault that Stability DAO decided to permissionlessly borrow a whole bunch of USDC and get liquidated, and their token like dumped like crazy. Like, how is that Sonic's fault? That's like saying it's I don't know. I don't know. It's you get my point. Like, it's definitely not the ecosystem's fault that a project did something risky and got liquidated because they did so, and so forth. I'm kind of let's move on to the next one. Okay, here we have Ivan Levinsky. Okay, I don't know this guy, but he came up because he was retweeting something that. He was retweeted by Yield Basis, which I follow. Okay, so it's kind of a long paragraph here, and he basically what he tries to do is he's like, I'm going to outline to you why Yield Basis pools scale gradually. Now, most people think it's just pure risk management, like, oh, we don't want too much money in the system at once, but he adds some factor into it for consideration. So, in case you don't understand, basically Yield Basis, like the other day I talked about it, they added WETH to their usable assets, right? And they have a cap on how much can go in. And the reason why they cap this is not because they want to like reduce the amount of smart contract risk. It's because of liquidity pool stability. If they just put a shit ton of like they allow a shit ton of ETH to go in, then it's going to get like looped through the CRV pool, and that CRV pool will, depeg the CRV USDC token or USD token. So as they gradually increase it, the APR for people to provide CRV USD to the CRV USD pools increases because now there's more borrowed, there's more liquidity getting going through it, there's some peg maintenance, some arbitrage. So APRs on CRV USD go up, right? And then the peg keepers can close that arbitrage, keep that peg, make some money, and then the thing can stabilize, and then they can increase those caps again. So it's like a mathematical stability system or assessment. Okay, if they can't just open the floodgates, if you just open the floodgates, water will rush through the city and destroy everything. But if you slowly allow water to go into the city, then you have aqueducts, right? So if you think of it like that, excuse me. Okay, moving on. Here we have Gabriel Haynes. If you don't follow Gabriel Haynes, I suggest you do it. He drops satire like crazy. Okay, like his videos, screaming and half naked in the car. It's funny, but if you look underneath the hood of what he's saying, listen between the words, so to speak, then he always is dropping truth. Okay, so here he is talking about how SharpLink, which is like the ETH, the ETH DAT, right? SharpLink and Linea we're supposed to like work together to build this linear chain. However, linear just is like only down. So he's saying what everybody's kind of thinking or what everybody's feeling, and that is like, hey, like what happened to this chain? Why isn't this chain growing? Why aren't these two like huge entities growing? It seems more like an extraction event, like oh, get all the retail in here, get people to buy the coin, and then we can sell to them, right? So that's kind of the way it feels. Now, I don't know. I still have some of my linear airdrop, but I did sell some, and we'll see. Okay, so we'll see what happens there. So I would give Gabriel Haynes a follow and try when you listen to him. Don't just listen to him screaming. Try to listen to the message underneath the screams. Okay, moving on. Here we have Rostic ETH, and he's retweeting Crypto Maliki, who has shared Thread Guy's podcast. Now, Thread Guy is a person who I don't particularly follow. I don't really like what he has done in the space. They say he's on his he's he's recuperated his bad acting. But he was one of the people who were constantly just shilling pump fund contract addresses and making tons of money off people. Now I think it's terrible what he has done in the past. I don't know what he's doing now because I'm not following him, and I refuse to. But now he's just doing a podcast, and it's clearly like sponsored by Solana ecosystem type stuff. He's got Polymarket in the back. He's got Phantom Wallet, so he's sponsored. And I don't know why he needs to be sponsored and do this kind of stuff, because he made millions and millions and millions of dollars off of shilling pump fund coins. But anyhow, let's not talk too much directly about him, and let's talk about what Rostic says. It says, I am Team Vitalik on this one. The meme coins were created with one single goal: earn money for native users and gamblers. The meme coin founders tried to use Vitalik's name and send them to his wallet to make them look more legit, and Vitalik used the core functionality, sold them. So basically, like what Thread Guy is saying here is like meme coins used to be on Ethereum, and they started people started minting meme coins, sending them to Vitalik and saying, hey, look, even Vitalik's in this one. Come and buy our coin. And then people would buy it and buy it. And then Vitalik just got sick of it. And he was just like, you know what, I'm just going to dump this stuff. And he just sold them, right? And that's the purpose of meme coins, to buy and sell. That's all they do, right? You buy it early and you sell it when other people are buying. And that's it. And I talked yesterday about liquidity, and how a liquidity pool, like the value of a coin is only as good as how much liquidity is in the liquidity pool, unless you consider trading volume. So I'm with Rostic as well. Like Vitalik just dumping those meme coins, and whatever he did with them, I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe he dumped them for ETH and then donated the ETH to Ukraine or something. I don't remember, but something like that. And I'm with him as well. Like you use my name and you try to use my reputation, then I'm just gonna dump this thing. And so yeah, he destroyed the meme coin, and then the meme coins all went to Solana as a result. And then people like Thread Guy and Ansem and stuff rose to prominence in the space because they were able to pump coins. Because lots of people thought, oh, when this guy shows it, the coin pumps, I'm going to join it. And it becomes a race of popularity and who is first. They're all nothingness. They all do nothing. They provide no actual intrinsic value to anyone. It's just purely an extraction event daily, right? So anyhow, I'm with Rostic on this one completely. And I think what Vitalik did was actually better for the space. That's like saying, oh, the mayor of XYZ city killed heroin dealing in his city. Of course, yeah, okay, so if you're a heroin dealer, you can make lots of money, right? It's bad for people. It's like hurting lots of people. But you don't care because you're making lots of money. So the mayor, sets up a task force and kills heroin dealing inside his city. And now this guy's like, you know what? Oh, the mayor is a bad person. He killed heroin dealing in his city and sent it to another city. That, like, of course, it's like, think of it that way. Now, what I'm saying is a bit extreme. Heroin's a little bit worse than meme coins, but the I think the parallel is still semi-parallel. Okay, moving on. Here we have this guy called Ostwal Akshit. So I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry if I killed your name, but and especially with the message you have, I'm sorry to kill your name and spread your message. But so he seems to be a dev. Okay, he talks like a dev. And he's talking about how he has lost roughly about $23,000 in a hack, and it's pretty strange. It's pretty okay. I'm gonna make it really simple. A friend of his said, "Hey, listen, I've got this job interview. I have to. They're asking me to install this repo on my computer. I don't know how to do it. Can you help me?" And then this guy is like, "Oh, okay, I'll help you." And he installed the repo on his computer, and the repo basically drained all his wallets. Now, if someone says to you, "I want to have an interview with you," right away, you should think, "Oh, this is suspicious." And I get these all the time. And then there's a lot of like, "Oh, I want you to be a community or member, or I'll give you a paid blah 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 to shill our game." I've gotten lots of these as well. We've got a Web3 game, so you got to install the game. Here's the repo, or here's the installation file. Don't install anything on your computer that doesn't come from official like places like Steam or Google Play Store, or like, don't install stuff on your computers if you, especially like this guy's a dev and he installed it. You can watch his video and find out everything, but like, don't install anything. If someone wants to do an interview with you for whatever reason, a job interview, and they say, install this, or let's use Zoom, or let's use this, don't do it. I say, call me on Telegram, or here's a Google link, and they're always like, "Oh, it doesn't work," or "My mic's not working, let's try this instead." Then just say, "Oh, no, I'm good. Thanks anyways, goodbye." There's just too many of these kind of hacks out in the space, so be careful. Okay, moving on. So here we have ETHRaider. ETHRaider is a person who shills ETH all the time, and basically what he says here is interesting as well. He's like, Solana chain is in between a rock and a hard place. It's not decentralized enough to compete with Ethereum, which we all know it doesn't have the specs that Ethereum has in regards to decentralization and immutability, and maybe it does have immutability, but decentralization and permissionless and all of this stuff, right? It's not decentralized enough. It's not secure or resilient enough to attract meaningful DeFi and stables. So it has a lot of stables, but it's not going to attract institutionalized stables. And the validator count is actually going down on a Solana. It's below its initial validator count now. And it's too slow to compete with other performant chains. So now Solana is not the fastest blockchain anymore. Like, even Sonic is faster than Solana. Now, Sonic doesn't have an ecosystem that compares to Solana. It doesn't have the TVL of Solana, but it's a faster, more performant blockchain. And then so are several L2s now. They're faster as well. Like, I talk about Rise Chain all the time. It's not live. It's still in testnet, but it's way faster. Mega ETH is way faster than Solana. So now Solana has become a vanilla L1 at best. So think about that in your you don't even need to think about like all of the shady other stuff that you hear about, like the extraction events, the sandwich attacks, all of this other nasty stuff that you hear about that's happening on Solana. You don't even need to think about that. The one thing that Solana does very, very well is marketing. They're very good at paying for eyes to look at it. So think about that, okay? And I always say, do what you think is best, but I'm not going to be investing my hard-earned cash into Solana for the most part. Like I do hold a little bit here and there because I'm a hardcore degen, right? So I need to, right? Anyways, moving on. Here we have Sherlock. Sherlock is an auditing platform, and it's quite cool. It has, it's like a contest type thing where, not really like it's an auditing place. Okay, so not really a contest like what you would think of a contest. But anyways, so Sherlock is they have this new thing called Sherlock AI V1. Now, and it kind of lays out all of these different kind of aspects of the Sherlock AI auditing system. And I'm going to read through the headings. Okay, so it's like scope awareness analysis, two-phase audit architecture, deep security methodologies, better cross-contract visibility, and what it matters for our users. So AI is kind of taking over a lot of stuff. Like you see a lot of vibe coding, and you see now a lot of AI being used to audit things. And I think that's great because it's like it lowers the amount of it makes things faster and easier, but you still need to double check what the AI does. So you still need humans to kind of look at the reports that that AI is pumping out. And this AI is custom made for auditing. It's not like using ChatGPT to audit your code, because that's not very effective. It's better than not doing it, of course. Like I have some contracts with my devs that we send through AI. So we would code them up, we audit them together, we peer review each other's, and then we put it through AI. And they're simple things, like they're not multi-contract dependable contracts. They're just like simple one-time things or one contract systems. And we send them through AI and get their reports. And it's just loaded with false positives and suggestions and stuff like that. And we just kind of use it as a way to kind of just do one more check, right? And that's fantastic. Now this, on the other hand, is an AI built by auditors for auditors. And I would assume, I haven't used it because I'm not an auditor at Sherlock, but I would assume that the reports that they give are much easier for the human auditors to assess whether or not this stuff is of value and whether or not you can do this. Like now, I did a tweet the other day about vibe coding, which is basically using AI to code up smart contracts and stuff like that. And I think it's great. I think it's cool and awesome and fun. But I don't want to put my money in something that AI has it's just purely like some guy like put it out. It's like vibe coders are not devs. That's my point. They are like they have an idea and they use the AI to produce the code. And this is the future of where we're going for sure. But I'm not at a point where I trust this completely yet. So I hope at least that anyone who is doing vibe coding with AI will disclose that this is built by AI. Okay. And in this case with Sherlock, undoubtedly, like they're not going to just say, oh yeah, this thing's totally good because our AI says it's good. They're going to use the AI as a tool to improve their efficiency and their ability to audit the code themselves as humans. Okay, so take that into account. You can check out this tweet. You can read a little bit deeper. You can read through these things and kind of get a deeper understanding of what's going on here at Sherlock. Moving on. Here we have Third Web X402 support enabled for Sonic Labs Sonic's chain, sub-second finality, 90% fee sharing, now with X402 payments. Now X402 payments is a kind of a way for, how to explain this? Basically websites and like more importantly like data, like let's say if you're collecting a bunch of data and you're giving like a feed of like APR codes or like an API type data, like constantly, like just give data every second or every 10 seconds or whatever that is, that data that needs to be used by other things, right? Now these websites can use this 402 system, which is like a web to HTTP system. They can use this to request payments in stablecoins. So websites and APIs and stuff like that can do things more automatic using this X402, and it's now enabled on Sonic if you happen to use Sonic. Now, as a user, for me, I don't really care about this, but as a dev, like devs need to figure out the fastest and easiest way to monetize their APIs and how to make websites more dependable for the users. So it does affect the users. However, the users don't need to really care who's paying and how it's getting paid, long as it's dependable, right? But for a dev, it's pretty good. Okay, moving on, we have DeFi Steven from the DeFi Dojo. He's got this tweet, and he's like, "Holy smoke, lads! This got me to try out Llama AI finally. This thing is rather good at finding yields. It does hallucinate a bit on hyper niche yield requests, but for the most part, this is a remarkably useful tool." And he shares this this question. He says, "I'd like to compare the yields on any gold derivative. I'm fairly agnostic to chains. Could be EVM or SVM." And then there's this this thing pumps this Llama AI pumps out this chart of different kinds of golds that you can consider and the APIs that are there. So you can, and it's telling you Uniswap, what's this, LF, Uniswap Bluefin, Uniswap Camelot, Uniswap Orca, Curve Finance, blah blah blah, Affluent. So you can use AI. You can use this Llama AI to fetch some stuff. Now it's gonna mostly it appears to be mostly looking at DeFi Llama's API, but who knows? Maybe it's looking elsewhere. I don't know. It is AI, and AI is a fantastic search engine now, right? So you can check that out. I'm a big fan of DeFi Llama and everything they do. They are truly what we would call a public service good. And so forth. And if you don't use DeFi Llama, you really should. And if you feel like you can support them, then do consider supporting them. This DeFi AI Llama AI has a 7-day free trial right now, so you can kind of go there and try it out. Okay. Moving on, I've got a couple minutes. I got 3 more tweets for you, so let me go a little bit quick on these. So here we have Jordy again, man. Jordy came up. Maybe he tweets, maybe he gets up 1 hour before me and tweets, because he's just right at the top of my feed every morning. So anyhow, Jordy from Cryptoland, he's talking again about yield basis. I'm sorry to keep going on yield basis, but I don't. Anyhow, so I said 25% APR on Bitcoin is the new standard. So if you put Bitcoin into yield basis, you're looking at something around 25% APR. That's insane on Bitcoin, right? Now, of course, this is not BTC. This is WBTC, wrapped BTC. It's Coinbase BTC. It's TBTC. So you're getting exposure to those centralized custodians. You have to do your due diligence on whether or not you're comfortable with them, and so forth. However, it's working. These things get filled up within seconds, minutes or so. So the demand is there, the hunger's there, and the system is running pretty well. Will it last forever? I don't know. Probably not. Nothing lasts forever, but I'm happy with the way it's working out right now. Moving on. Here we have, the other day I tweeted that Solana has more tokenized stocks than anyone. I think it was Token Terminal that said this. And then today I see Odo Finance. Odo's Finance was a kind of a pivot type project. They did a stable coin for a long time, and now they're tokenizing stocks and ETFs. And there's a huge list of, they said 98 new stocks and ETFs just landed on chain, and they kind of list a whole bunch of them and many more. So this is Ethereum, Ondo Finance, ONDO. You can check it out. If stocks are something you want to trade, if you are a normie stock trader. I don't trade a lot of stocks. I hold some stocks in my traditional portfolio, but I don't really trade a whole lot on chain. But I like to test it out and I like to use things. So you can check out Ondo and decide whether or not you want to participate in some permissionless stock trading. Okay. Whether or not you can get APR on these, I don't know. You have to look a little bit deeper. One more tweet for you, and then I'm done. So here we have ETH Plus. New year, same cooks. ETH Plus boosts 2 highest leverage yield position opportunities on Gearbox as well as Beefy. So if you do a little bit more digging on what is ETH Plus, make sure you're okay with this. It's like built on the Reserve protocol. It's over collateralized Ethereum staking in a single click. So you can basically, it's staked ETH with a little bit of like collateralization inside there. You dig deeper and find out if ETH Plus is okay for you. But if you're okay with ETH Plus, there are some juicy yields and possibilities to do some correlated assets. So ETH Plus, ETH LPs. So a correlated asset, so to speak. I'm not sure if ETH Plus is a interest-bearing coin, which I think it is. So it's kind of like putting like WST ETH, Lido staked ETH with ETH in a liquidity pool, getting like 20%, or you can lend it on Gearbox for like what it's quoting here, 26%. Now this is probably inaccurate now because these things change instantly, right? So double check it. You can check out whether or not ETH Plus on Gearbox is something you want to do, and it does show staked DAO as well. And you can use Beefy to auto compound things and check it out, okay, if that's something interesting for you. So that's it for today. I hope this has been useful and interesting. If you have any questions or any concerns about what I'm saying, you can reach out to me. I forgot to disclose that, this is not financial information. This is my own biases. This is my own personal opinion on things and just the way I'm thinking about stuff. Okay, thank you for watching, and goodbye.